Go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Gale, and I'm here with Pat Miletich. And we're following one of the permaculture principles. It's called stacking functions. We are out on the lake right now catching dinner for ourselves and our families while talking to you. So I'll give you a little bit of a view of where we are. We're here on Cat Lake in Central Florida, in St. Cloud, Florida, and we are building a completely off-grid community where we produce all of our own food, water, and energy on site. Now, most people, when they think of off-grid, they think of maybe a cabin with a lantern and an outhouse. Well, that is not the way that we are doing off-grid. We are doing off-grid in relative luxury, where we don't have to give up anything. We don't have to give up any of our basic goods and joys and technologies and things like that. And what we do is we demonstrate this process in very fine detail, and then we help other people do the same. And it starts wherever you are. If you are, for instance, on a tight budget, then we can help you by showing you how to take 20 bucks and go to the local farmer's market and invest that 20 bucks in food that you're going to eat anyway. Sorry. Somebody just. And we will teach you how to invest that $20 in healthy, nutritious food. And then take the seeds out, right? And you can use those seeds to start your own garden. Right? That's if you're on a tight budget, or if you just really like doing things that type of way. By the way, check that out. Isn't that fun? Thanks, buddy. So that's what we're all about, is showing people how to go from wherever they are to healthy and free and vibrant and alive. And free is one of my favorite words, right? Free from the system that enslaves us. The system of corruption and poisons in our world. We have toxins and poisons throughout our system. So it's our job to first become aware of that and then choose better. Choose plants and foods and a way of life that is toxin-free, because the toxins are a control mechanism. The toxins lead to disease, which leads to the whole system of enslavement that we are living in. So Pat Miletich, by the way, right behind me here, he was a 5-time UFC defending world champion, toughest man in the world. And not only that, but he also then became a coach. And he coached and helped about a dozen other people become world champions. And now Pat's a soil savior. Pat, any thoughts?
Just having a blast, all of us, helping to educate people about, the toxins in our environment, how easily we can heal the soil by putting the life back in the soil, the life that those tiny little microorganisms that have gone away in big part because of chemical big ag, pounding billions of gallons of those toxic substances over 1 billion acres of our soil. That gets into our water, our air, our food. And that's when you look around yourself in public and you see all of the mental, physical, hormonal dysfunction in Americans. That's a big part of why that's happening. So when we put the microbes back in the soil, those are the only thing created by God, by nature, depending on what you believe in, that have the capability of ingesting those heavy metals and synthetics and converting them to beneficial, available nutrients to plants, animals, humans. Everything on this planet have to have those nutrients in those forms, carbon bonded nutrients, to be able to function and survive. So that's what we're doing, is just educating people about that.
Creating awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. If you're not aware that there's a possibility of changing, then you're not going to change. So the Earth Council that we have brought together has a common mission. We are following Martin Luther King's advice. Those who love peace must learn to organize, as well as those who love war. So that's what we're doing. And the relevance of all the pieces of the puzzle, all the people and their histories is absolutely fantastic. I'll give you just a couple other Earth Council members to see what we're talking about. For instance, TAG, Rowdy Meyer. Rowdy was one of the most influential people in the world of finance. He orchestrated 13 businesses from 300 million up to over $1 billion. I like to think of him as like the prophet meets Shark Tank, where he really understands how this works. So he is now our business leader and business advisor and a core member of the council. And we are creating a platform, and Dr. Wolf and his incredible platform, we're basically merging and coming together to collaborate to bring the solutions, like the ones Dr. Wolf has, which are absolutely phenomenal, to more people. So the council is intent on getting the word out. And that's why I'm so thankful to Daryl, to getting the word out to all of you to say there's a better way. And Buckminster Fuller's quote comes to mind. You cannot change things by fighting the existing system. You must create a new system that makes the current system obsolete. Right? So that's what we're doing. We're creating a new economy, an economy that serves life, that benefits life, right? Taking the poisons out, creating awareness around the poisons, and then supplanting those poisons with things that create life instead of death in our world. The things that Doc, Will, Spencer, and Pat are showing the world. They've already created it. They've already proven it. It cannot be overstated, the value, the benefits of these products. In fact, what we're doing is, if you ever heard of a compost tea brewer, well, Doc Will has created a compost tea brewer that has over 1,300 different microbes. Yeah, it's a unique microbes. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Vortex brewers are a unique way and the best way to do compost teas, obviously, because that Vortex raises oxygen levels a great deal, up to 90% more. It also pulls in a lot of etheric energy. We understand that there's nitrogen at 78% in our atmosphere alone. So nitrogen is pulled out of the atmosphere by cyanobacteria, by archaea, by specific microorganisms, and allow that to be converted into usable ammonia, for instance, for plants to grow. So a lot of these microorganisms that have disappeared from existence in our soil, when we put those back in by spraying millions of gallons over millions of acres, we put those microbes back in the soil. We convert all the toxic soil into plant food. That's what we're doing, and we have the ability to do that at a very, very fast rate. It comes down to how many crop dusters we have, how many sprayers we have behind tractors, and how many farmers and how many people, ecologists, want to transform the earth quickly. And that's really what this comes down to. We're able to do it in a very short amount of time. It just comes, it's going to depend on the rise in consciousness of human beings. And when they look at their children, what do they want to leave their children? Do they want to leave them a toxic world that's only going to get worse? They will not be able to drink the water. They will not be able to eat the food unless they're growing it themselves. We have so many toxins in our environment. Look, you could be focused at your job in one of these industries, making $1 million a year. Your children financially will be set, but it won't matter if they're going to get sick at 30 from cancer or from another ailment or an autoimmune issue, because the environment is so polluted with heavy metals and synthetic chemicals. So we have to convert all of those into beneficial nutrients, bond them with carbon, and change the direction that everything is going. And then look, when it's time for us to leave this planet, we know that we did our part, and our children can live a happy life with that $1 million you left.
Yes, I love it. And so, in essence, we're talking about a major cultural shift away from poisons and synthetics and heavy metals and toxins, which is all the same thing, back to nature, back to God's design, back to the way it's meant to be. Right? The technology in this natural world, call it God's technology, we have no clue how this stuff works, right? So to think that we can all of a sudden manipulate these structures and patent them for profits and then turn them into some kind of better thing than what God, nature has provided is one of the fundamental pieces of the destruction of our world, right? This idea of controlling nature, that's just not the way it works. So we are intent on supplanting the current system of food. Food is the first domino, by the way. When we take back control of our food supply, and this cannot be overshared. I mean, this is not an accident that we are suffering the way we're suffering. Henry Kissinger said 50 years ago, he said, if you want to control people, control food. That was not the ramblings of a psychopath. That was the strategy of a psychopath that has been carried out. And now one entity controls the whole food supply chain. And do you know the name of that entity? It's not LifeRock. It's BlackRock. And it's run by a computer named Aled. You can look this stuff up yourself. So what does that mean? It means that it's up to us. It's up to you and I to take the poisons out and demonstrate a better way. It's up to you and I to be the change that we're looking for in the world. Live with integrity and authenticity and health and wellness. And here's the fun part is while you might not know how to do it yet, with our Earth Council and all of our advisors and all of the people coming together, we will do it together. We will teach you how to do it, and then we will be there by your side doing it with you. And the best part of it is, it's the most selfish and rewarding thing that you could ever do. You might just not know how yet. So that's what we do. We help people. We feel that why in the
I guess it just popped into my head. We turn the world from a black rock into a green rock.
There you go. Yes, this is it. And so when you start living this way and eating healthy, your brain starts clearing up. The inflammation goes down. The acidity goes down. All of these things that are clouding our judgment, the programs that we have been, well, the deception. In a way, we are at war. There's an entity that is harming humanity. And what is the way to stop that? Well, what's the solution to war? It's peace and abundance. Abundance solves the scarcity narrative. And the scarcity narrative is what's used to create fear. And fear is a control mechanism. It's the ultimate control mechanism.
Love overpowers.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we're all about. The Earth Council is going to be actually bringing to market a product, and it's all of our combined products in one package to create the community, the marketplace, with the help of Dr. Wolf and many others, that allows us to come together and do this together. And by the way, I'm going to share one other piece which is very relevant. I do not comply with any of the forms of tyranny out there. We very publicly have declared that we are free. Now, this won't necessarily work in every place, in every county, in every state. In fact, it for sure won't. But we are here in Central Florida. And if you're in a place that is controlled by the wicked, at the minimum, start growing and creating abundance at your house, at a neighbor's house if you don't have your own land, or talk to a farmer and say, hey, can I take a little bit of piece of this and I will do this with it? And then you could use that to grow food nature's way, demonstrating to the farmer and to everybody around that the yield is infinitely better when we use natural systems over the current systems that are so, detrimental and everywhere, right? In fact, the agriculture taught in colleges and universities for the last several generations is the most destructive teaching and practices in our world today. It's killing soil, the life that's in soil, the life that creates life for us. It's killing by design these systems. To give you an example, we have almost 900 million acres of farmland in the United States?
For 900.
Over 900 million acres. right? Well, think about that. If there's about 300 million people in the United States, 900 million acres implies that we need 3 acres to feed one person. Well, that's insane. You can feed a family of 10 on 1 acre. So imagine what happens when we use our resources wisely and we take that farmland and we create permaculture designed edible landscapes, food forests that are incredibly productive while building soil. Our current system is productive while destroying and mining soil. So now we turn all of the problems into the solution. And here's the best part. 10% of that land can feed every American, and I'm talking about North and South America. 10% of that land, 90 million acres. Now, of course, they'll be doing this in South America. They'll be doing this in Canada and Mexico and everywhere. So what that really means for the United States is on probably 5% of that land, plus using backyards, we feed everybody and have abundance everywhere. Now, to get into some details, and Pat, jump in anytime, let's just take what this will do to recidivism and crime. Well, when people are starving and hungry and scared, they do crazy things. They do things that are not in their best interest, but they don't know another way. In fact, there have been studies done at prisons where the inmates grew their own food, some of their own food. They became gardeners. The recidivism rates in those prisons fell by more than 60%. Just put a pin in that for a second. We're talking about more than half the crime from people who participated in growing their own food is gone. That is a world-changing statistic. And that's just one avenue of employment of these systems that will lead to global change. Now let's take the schools. Imagine if the schools, if the students learned permaculture and learned how to work with nature and grew some of their food at the school. Well, it's been done before. The rates of childhood depression and diabetes and illness go down drastically, go down incredibly when the children are engaged in the natural system. It's a much healthier environment.
Right? Well, it just comes down to, I think, when you have nutrient deficient food that is toxic to begin with, the water that we drink toxic, we're going to cause physical illness, hormonal destruction, mental illness, all those things, the heavy metals the inflammation is going to manifest in different ways in different people. It causes a lot of disruptions in the human organism, how we think, all of those things. So when we eat nutrient-rich food, we can eat a lot less of it because our cells are full of nutrients. Our cells aren't screaming at our stomach that we need more